Our final speaker for the morning is one of Asia's most respected investment banker. He has a leadership stint with Goldman Sachs, UBS, Credit Suisse, and a track record of managing billions in regional funds. But behind all his title is a story of grit. I had the privilege of hearing it in Singapore. It was so inspiring. He was speaking to about 300 of us, and it was so good. So I look forward to hearing him share his story with you. Okay, so with that, can you please join me for a big hand to welcome Datuk Seri Paul Chong. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did it call us old? We are facing a massive conflict today in society. Not sure whether you realize, but on the one hand, we've got the echoes of the upbringing of Generation X. On the other, Chris, we've got young people living in a world that is totally different from what we had. Remember Gen Xers? Our parents set us strict guidelines. We had broken elbows, skinned knees, but we went out to fend for ourselves. The Gen Zs and the millennials, they have it so good. Interconnectivity, everything at their fingertip. AI, telling them to turn left, right, and center. But that makes us, the parents, a very, very difficult sort of species that they have to deal with. They call it generational gap and all that. Rather than careless parenting, we now have to do more careful parenting. For those of you who are parents, you know, right? 我哋為我啲小朋友做啲嘢咧係，哇，不唔想嘅。Secondly, remember this? We were scolded, we were caned. Now we have to use words of affirmation. How are you, darling? And rather than go do it yourself, 我同你做啦, right? It's crazy. I mean, look, Jimmy O Yang, very famous stand-up comedian. Let's hear from him.
My girl asked me, she's like, babe, what's your love language? I'm like, what? She's like, your love language. Like, how do you convey love to your partners and loved ones? Like, for example, a love language could be words of affirmation. Like, words of affirmation? I was raised by Asian parents. I've never heard one word of affirmation in my life. Nobody ever told me, Jimmy, you're so great, you can do it. They're like, don't fuck it up. Their love language is verbal abuse.
A lot of us can relate to that, right? But not Chris. His parents would have said, wow, bye, Jai, and all that. The problem is the Gen Zs and the millennials are being brought up in their own little bubble. And they're seeking to change the world. A world that they don't live in, right? Now that's scary for us. Because right? They call us old. They're supposed to lead us. They're supposed to take the world to a better place. Let's have a look. They are dominating industry leadership. Over the last 20 years, we saw a major ascent of the millennials and the Gen Zs. By the end of this year, it is predicted that they will outnumber Gen Xers in terms of leadership across all industries in the United States. Okay, not so quick in China, India, because the old guards are still there. But in the US, the young guys are taking over. Number two, this is a watershed year. Last year, 46% of all new CEOs in the Fortune 500 were millennials, compared to only 29% from old people like us. And thirdly, early management. Over half of men and women today are in some sorts of leadership within their organization before their age 30. However, we're seeing a very strange paradox, which is worrying to all of us. Number one, these guys, I'm generalizing of course, seem to lack inner strength. They seem to have very low resilience, mentally and emotionally. Maybe because their parents are saying, I've provided for you, right? You don't have to worry about basic necessities. Go and use the resources available to you to create something new, to pursue your dreams. But what the world gave them robbed them of the tenacity, the grit, and the persistence, and the resilience to stand up for themselves. Number two, they give up too easily in the name of pursuing new interests, extending my experience. But every time you do that, you leave those people behind. Those people who shared your first dream and vision, and you said, 喂，唔撈啦，做第二樣啦。喂, those guys are left behind. You can, because you are financially stable. Let's say your parents are, fund all of that. But those guys who are left behind, you never think of. And number three, they're so sensitive to criticism. They want the thumbs up. They want the likes on Instagram. The moment they're caught out, the moment they are challenged directly, they take it very personally. They rather stay away from the forums where they could be directly criticized. Right? They like endorsements from people they have never met on LinkedIn or IG. That's them. And if that's them, that's worrying. You know why? Because the safety net syndrome, in which, in a world where they live in their own bubble, the safety net syndrome is actually spoiling them. And it creates a generation of, in Malay, we call it tirapa, or in English, whatever. They don't care because they have the financial wherewithal to not care. Now, that is a danger to us because we are looking to them to take us to another place, to a better place.
People with very high expectations have very low resilience. And unfortunately, resilience matters in success. I don't know how to teach it to you except for I hope suffering happens to you. I was fortunate that I grew up with my parents providing a condition for us to be successful on the one hand, but there were plenty of opportunities for setbacks and suffering. To this day, I use the phrase pain and suffering inside our company with great glee. And the reason, and I mean that, boy, this is going to cause a lot of pain and suffering. And I mean that in a happy way. Because you want to train, you want to refine the character of your company. We want greatness out of them. And greatness is not intelligence, as you know. Greatness comes from character. Character is informed out of smart people. It's formed out of people who suffered.
That's my hero, Jensen Huang. And he's real. He's leading a company with thousands of employees. In his mind, in his parlance, resilience is important. And resilience is displayed by people who welcome the pain as the building block for them to become a better person. Resilience is the ability to face setback and rebound higher. And resilience means building character. Character that's going to generate greatness. Not by being overly protective, but by opening yourself to challenges to strengthen you. Right? Mission impossible to some? Let me tell you a personal story. I'm honored today because the king of specs in Asia is here with me. I'm going to talk a little bit about specs. In 2018, after 25 years on Wall Street, I decided to retire. By then, I had worked for the best investment bank in the world. My client is here, and that bank was Goldman Sachs. Undoubtedly, today, still the top investment bank on Wall Street. I had worked for two of the biggest European banks then, UBS, Credit Suisse, and I managed the fund for the Rothschild family. There's nothing left to do. As they say, retire when you're at the top. So I went home, having built a little nest egg, good enough for my family for 3 generations. And then COVID hit. Nobody foresaw COVID. It is in times like COVID that you get tested. As people say, 真金不怕紅爐火, right? All the listed companies that I invested in had their share price tanking. All the private companies that I invested in decimated. Why? Because the lockdown. Remember the lockdown? We were not allowed to travel. We were not allowed to talk to people. It was so unpredictable. It was worse than SARS. I spent all my time during SARS in Hong Kong, but only 499 people died. For COVID, tens of thousands died every day. It was a scary moment. At that time, somebody introduced me to an investment banker from London called Simon. So Simon came and told me this thing about specs. At Goldman Sachs, we don't do specs. It's too small for us. I couldn't be bothered to learn and listen from Simon about specs. My sheer arrogance of what I had achieved on Wall Street made me poo-poo him. So I asked him, Simon, how much does it cost to do me 3 specs? So he said 2 million to start, 2 million halfway, and 2 million when it's completed. I wrote a check for $2 million for Simon, sent him away to do 3 specs. And he never came back. It was at that time that I realized that I was scammed. The financial loss added more pain at a time when I could least afford it. COVID had, destroyed my nest egg. $2 million may not be a lot of money, but it is still a significant amount. But what you do not realize was the shame. If I had gone to the police to report this guy, the headlines would read, seasoned investment banker from Goldman Sachs scammed by a Mr. Nobody. It was almost like a Shaolin Kung Fu master getting his ass kicked by a 5-year-old. The shame is unbearable. I had 2 choices. 當係一個好知點講啊，好貴嘅功課，or fight back. And fight back I did. I attended conferences, paid and unpaid. I paid lawyers in the US to teach me everything I know about specs. Fast forward 2 years, I listed my first, my second, and third. Claudius has 8, by the way. King of specs in Malaysia. 8 or 9. I got my 3 specs. No thanks to Simon. The following year, I listed 12 more for clients in Asia. And today, the market calls me same spec. Because nobody has listed more specs than I have. I've listed 38. Thank you. And together with Claudius, we are world authorities on specs. We've done it before so many times, you know the ins and outs. Friends, don't forget, the fall was big and painful. Not only the money, but the shame. Right? Right? So the loss of faith was worse than the pecuniary loss that I suffered. So it is possible. The young generation, people like Chris, they live in what I call a perfect world. The world of 3 Ks. They have the know what, the know how, and the know who. The know what is information is everywhere at the fingertips. There is interconnectivity instantly. Higher education, tertiary education is almost free if you are good enough to get into a university. Now let's look at the know how. 佢哋連 Google search 都唔用㗎啦，老土啊嘛。Everything is AI, right? ChatGPT or AI, derivatives can germinate a business idea for them, write a business plan for them, do their financial projections for them to go and seek funding. So they have ChatGPT teaching them what to sell, where to sell, what price to sell, and everything. They are so blessed. And of course, they have the know-who. Now, we had to struggle for our summer job and internship. These guys, okay, not Chris, they get their first summer job because who the father is or who the parents know. And even if they don't have such good parents, they have LinkedIn that connects them to everyone in this world. All you need to do is to basically sell yourself and somebody will connect with you and voila, you get a job. Compared to our time where we had the yellow pages, a piece of letter paper, and a postage stamp, right? Look, the millennials and the Gen Zs are so blessed. They are the most gifted and most connected generations in history. And they can do what we went through with a lot more ease, right? They have interconnectivity, they have got parents looking after them. So there is actually no reason why they can't pick themselves up when they fail. I want you guys to think about the next challenge. The next time you fail, I want you to embrace that failure. Use that opportunity to sharpen yourself, to be a better person, a stronger person. Number 2, shift from victim mode. Don't just cry. Move to vision mode. Find the breakthrough. Stop blaming yourself. Stop finding the blame. And climb from there. And thirdly, redefine yourself as I've done. Right? I didn't want that scam to be the final chapter of my story on Wall Street. I didn't want that to be the epitaph on my tombstone. You can redefine yourself from your failure. Use the ammunition, use the failure, the pain, the ruins as your ammunition to grow again. Remember, the world doesn't need another perfectionist. The young generation, they always use, "Oh, I'm a perfectionist." No, there's a cover for their fear. They won't embark on anything unless they're sure of success. Right? So no, the world needs resilient leaders to take us all to a better place. And may the young do that. May the force be with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paul. Awesome.
Thank you.
Oops. Okay, not very resilient, the microphone. Alright, thank you, Dr. Paul, for your wisdom, especially for the young people in this room. Now, so before we move on, morning break, before we settle in, we'd like you to crystallize a little bit, okay? So you should find someone beside you, a partner, and I've got a question for you. What was your biggest takeaway from the morning? So we have 5 speakers, right? And I'm sure it resonates differently. So what's the biggest takeaway? I'll give you about 2 minutes each, right? So find your partner, share any of these 2 questions. So what's one insight from the morning that hit you the hardest and why? Or what's one small change that you can use to protect your mind and body? My biggest one was the breathing out. You heard that? Nick says that just by breathing out, you lose fats. So that was really cool. So I'm going to breathe out more, right? I'm going to breathe out more later. Okay, so take 2 minutes each, 4 minutes, do a reflection, and then I'll call for time, okay? Have fun with the person beside you. Awesome. Yeah, feel free to bring your workers, your coffee team. You can sign up right away. Okay. Oh, we need here. And so you can see the first last 2 days of registration. Before we get started on our second section, right? So the first section was all about beyond burnout, and then we have kind of step into resilience. We're going to continue with the leadership theme, and we're going to play a game, okay? So it's a mini game. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. These are famous quotes by top leadership coaches, and I want you to guess who said it, okay? So if you think it's option A, you will raise your one hand. If you think it's option B, you raise your other hand. If you think it's option C, you stand up like you're doing a pep talk, okay? You ready? Okay, that's the first one, yeah. Code 1. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. A. Tony Stark. B. Simon Sinek. C. Eric Fulton. Okay, what's the answer? A. One hand. Don't start one hand. Simon Sinek, one hand. Very follow the same. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Wow, thank you, sir. We should give a prize for you. I wish I said that. Yeah, you're right. It's actually Simon Sinek. That was whatever logo by Simon Sinek. Okay, good job. Okay, second one. Quote number 2. Sometimes the most resilient thing you can do is to take an afternoon nap. A. Michelle Obama. B. Me yesterday. C. Yoga. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, okay, it's actually me. I'm hoping that you all remember this one. Okay, last one. This is a great one. Quote number 3. I'm not a leader because I'm fearless. I'm a leader because I've learned to lead through fear. A. Oprah. B. Someone in the room. C. Brene Brown. Anyone? Get out of T. Actually, the correct answer is Brene Brown. Brene Brown was the one that spoke about vulnerability and speakers being the leaders being vulnerable. Right? So, thank you so much for participating. You guys are being hands for that. Okay.